Hey everyone, I'm Jang, and this here is the LEGO City Passenger Airplane for 2023. This set cost me $120, and it has 913 pieces, which I assembled all live over on my Twitch channel. And the set comes with 9 minifigures and a bunch of really useful and interesting ground support equipment, but of course I'm first going to focus on the main thing you're here for. The design of this plane has proven to be shockingly divisive from the moment of its initial unveiling many months ago. And honestly, the main thing that folks are upset about is the use of a V-tail, which is a perfectly legitimate and often used and proven aerodynamic device, but it's not something that's common on jetliners today. And everybody wants to see the traditional inverted T-tail. They want a vertical stabilizer and rudder here, and they want horizontal stabilizers and elevators there. And that's fine to want that. But I personally think that it's good for LEGO designers making these toys for kids to occasionally try something a little bit different or something a little bit future, forward facing and grabbing from potential futures. There are concepts out there right now for future airliners that use V-tails and also significantly more odd and unusual, non-traditional aerodynamic configurations. So that's all I'm going to say about this one. I think it's perfectly fine with the exception of the brackets that you can see under here. You know, if those matched in color or covered up a little bit better, the whole thing would be better. But the rest of it, I'm good with. You got the nice low profile design with the larger engines that represent having a more modern high bypass situation, which is good. There's more building that's involved with these engines than previously. We've got the curled up wing tips, which aren't the most advanced designs, just using a Technic panel on each, but that keeps the weight down, which is important for the wings to not droop over time. I personally was always happy with this more modern, more realistic style of dual molded nose cone, which includes the glass in there. That's all part of it. It's all molded together, and this did come in its own plastic bag. No paper bag still, but it came in its own plastic bag, so there are no scuffs and scratches on this. That's all good. And hey, the overall shaping of it, I think, is really believable. And for something that is indeed marketed strictly as a toy for children, I think it looks pretty realistic. Now you may notice that the wing is actually a new piece. It's not that same piece that they've used for years and years and years now for larger aircraft. It's a brand new design, which has a little bit more going on geometrically. It's a little bit thinner. You have plenty of studs on top. You've got a couple spots that have or a couple of rows of areas that have Technic holes for making more secure connections. So here and also here, where the gear are connected underneath very securely, even though there's a certain sweep to those, a little bit of rake to them, but there's enough strength in there that it's able to hold together quite well. And then there's this transitional area here. So this is actually part of the wing piece itself. The wing goes here, and then it goes down under, and then it goes across and comes up the other side. The whole thing is one piece, if you're not familiar with these, from one side to the other, as has been the case for decades now. But the design has been changed to have this much larger droop with a better integration, to the wing root area. And it also allows there to be more space on the inside of this. Notice you've got this flat area on the bottom of the engine, which is also realistic to these ones that we have. Many of the modern ones we have today that have the high bypass fans and are really close to the ground. The back of this, though, is not good. That definitely could have used some additional pieces to just make this look more believable. It doesn't look like an exhaust at all. It doesn't look like an exit for air whatsoever. Before I move on from the wings, though, I do want to point out that this is not using ABS. If it is ABS, it's a different blend. It's soft. It's much softer. You've got just sharp edges now. The whole thing is one single plate thick, but it bends relatively easily. And in fact, the one that I got right out of the box, hopefully you can see that. This is curved a lot. Not only is it curved down a lot here, it's also twisted. So from the end, it's twisted like this. And it just came that way. Hopefully that's not going to be a major issue for a lot of people, but it definitely is here for me. And it's bad enough that I who has no time for doing such. I'm considering contacting customer support to get a replacement for this because it is absolutely noticeable. Another thing that was a little bit off for me is the door here, which is not able to close up. I tried kind of massaging this around a little bit and finding a spot where it would fit together a little bit better, but it just wasn't quite lining up. There's a joint here as well that you can move around. I can get it to close most of the way, but something just a little bit off there. Sorry about that. I got a little bit too rough with it. This can open up, and that gets you access for passengers to get in and out. There's not a nice smooth step in there. This is quite a step down, but for us huge figures to get access to the interior, you can take this entire thing up, which is very important. And of course you can also take the nose up. So that's very simple to get major access to this very spacious and efficient interior. Look at this. So for your cockpit, once again, got the side-by-side seating, flight yokes, and throttle controls there, as well as printed consoles in the front. The yellow there, it looks like one of those interior pieces that Lego does sometimes that are just off color, but it's actually intended to represent like a do not cross kind of line without having an actual physical door here. Got the little access as well for the catering section if you want to use that for pass-through. Speaking of that, this is like your galley here in the front, and I think these would represent, rather than trash, they would represent your refrigerator, maybe refrigerator and freezer, and then food prep would be done back here. Next up, the first class section, which is not fully divided from the main area. I'm personally fine with that because this gave you a little bit more space by not including an extra wall there. But each of these seats has an entertainment unit in front of it to help distinguish it. And also you've got the difference of color, lime green color for the main area back here, the economy or standard class, and seating for plenty of folks, which is great to see again. We haven't seen that in a very long time in a Lego passenger plane. So this is great. And the new wing piece made it a lot easier for Lego to design this to be durable, fairly lightweight, but also durable, good to pick up, swish around, and play with without using a ton of pieces to bypass the extra depth of the wing. So again, the wing goes to here and then it goes down, gives you plenty of space, and you have this nice low deck all the way through. I think that works out nicely. And in addition to all that, you still get a toilet with a closing door too. Look at that. Smart design there. Simple. Even the sink, I think, makes sense and is a smart design. But wait, there's even more still. There's a cargo area at the back with room for one container. So they've got the shaped container that can go in there. They've got a few of these, a couple of these included in the set. This one's empty right now, but you can load your baggage into there or pretend that this is a combi unit like the last one, but with more of a focus on the passenger passenger transport. I will point out here with this in particular that this gives us more evidence of Lego turning down the dial on quality and turning up the dial on speed of production. These are really, really noticeable and stick out. Those mold marks there, that's from where the plastic has not settled yet and has not coagulated, has not hardened in the mold, and they're kicking it out of the mold while it's still just a little bit wet. You can see just a little bit of smear of wet plastic there. Not good to see, especially when it sticks out that much. I'm seeing that more and more and more these days. This set includes a bunch of ground support equipment. You've got the stairs over here with a tow bar on it that can be pulled by the small tractor over there that has the additional baggage cart attached to it right now. Also, compatible with that same towing system is the catering cart over here, which has a nice feature of a scissor lift that actually works. And this is really smooth. I mean, it doesn't use a lot of pieces, but it definitely does its job. In a nice compact space, it lifts the load up there. It's too bad that this is not more universal to be able to lift the cargo containers up, but this has the doors that can open at either end, and that will just connect up to here. Definitely is more than good enough for play, but ideally this could have been made more complex. But I think this does its job because ultimately we are going to need to get in there with our hands to take stuff out. In this case, you've got some items that are able to be loaded up. You can also put the catering cart into here. You can't put both of those in at the same time. They tend to get stuck, but you can do this, or you can just leave this top part off and have that as a separate tray. Put these two in on their own, and then you can put this in. Look at this. Look at how narrow this thing is. One single stud of width for the food service cart. It'll fit through the aisles easily because the aisles are 2 studs wide. But the use of this piece right here to represent the little wheels at the base is pretty brilliant. It definitely does its job and definitely speaks to what it's supposed to represent. There's just no storage space inside. This little ground service tractor is very minimal, but definitely does its job and definitely visually reads as what it's supposed to be. Has kind of a classic feel to it. The use of a black and white sticker for the front, I think, is absolutely appropriate. Got the suggestion of steps on the side for the person to get in there. A couple of cones that you could potentially deploy, and then just the hitch on the back. You can see that this baggage cart has, or container cart, has a hitch on the back of it as well. So you could attach the food service or catering cart to the back of that, or the stairs could be attached to the back of that, so you can bring multiple things to the plane at one time. But the stairs and the catering cart don't have an additional hitch, so you can't connect all of them at the exact same time. And then this is just another one of those containers, the shaped containers. This one has a little bit of luggage in there right now, just a backpack and an empty suitcase, so you can swap those in. Again, you had 2 of those in total because one of them I showed you is in there, so you can swap things out. That's good. And then for moving the plane itself around, they've got this pushback tug there that has a tow bar-less design, and that's why there's this conspicuous Technic axle pin sticking out here. You can remove that at any time if you want to. It's just more convenient if you're going to be doing ground operations to leave that in there, because again, it's a tow bar-less design, which means it's designed to lift the entire plane from its nose gear and then carry it around. So it's using the weight of the aircraft itself as its own ballast, and then this can rotate around and park or pull out or push back the plane as much as you need. A little bit lacking in clearance right here. Would have been nice to have just a little bit more, but that explains the length of this. I originally thought that this should be shorter, but now it makes more sense to me. But there are quite a few pieces that went into the design of this thing. I think it could have been done a little bit more simply, because you compare the design of this and how complex and colorful it looks to the design of this that effectively does the same thing. It just needs to have a person in it and move things around, just have one connection point and some wheels. There's so much here. It's cool and all, but I don't think they needed to go this far with it, just personally. And then finally, there's this bus, which would be used for ferrying passengers back and forth to and from planes at airports that don't have the direct gangway service that goes directly up to it. So places that need something like this will also oftentimes need something like this if there's a certain amount of distance that needs to be traveled. And this is intended to be autonomous, so it doesn't have any driver's position in it. These things do exist. In the future, you'll see lots and lots more driverless things, but I think it's a cool design. I think it's, again, interesting for Lego designers to try something that's a little bit futuristic, although feasible today. And this shows the little loop that they go on. So it's showing, the actual path that would be taken, and it's omnidirectional. It'll go forward or back equally well. I like these doors. They're very satisfying to me, how it all lands down in here with absolutely no gap, and yet it opens here. I guess it touches just ever so slightly. It's a little bit difficult to get people in here, though. I will say that. You could potentially put at least 4 people in here, but it's tough to get us and our large human hands in there. You can open up the roof, take that off, but still, access is a little bit limited. Here are pilot and co-pilot figures with identical torsos between them and no special captain's hat, so you can choose which of them takes which role. It's entirely up to you. And underneath there, unfortunately, no alternate faces, but both of these hair pieces are newer and are interesting. It's always nice to get more options for minifig customization, in my opinion. 3 ground service personnel, 2 different torso designs between them, mix and match, switch things up, customize to your heart's content. Only one of these has an alternate face. It's that one right there. You've got the side printing here as well, which this is not the first time we've gotten that. Couple passenger minifigures here with also some newer options for headgear pieces and a new torso for the one on the left. The print for that is fine. The whole getup looks a little bit meh to me. This is one of the largest lenses that they've ever made for a Lego minifigure camera. That works out okay, with the handle on the side being potentially like a mount or something, and then underneath here you get this alternate face, which is definitely useful for somebody who's sleeping on a plane. And these are the final two minifigures, representing passengers, of course. One more piece of luggage there that you can load up onto the plane. An older hairpiece here and a newer one here. New torso there. I don't remember if this one's new or new-ish. But behind here, only one of them has the alternate face. You can see this is more of a Friends style of hairpiece because it has the mini peg hole to put a bow or something on it. Finally, these are the leftover pieces, only one print among them, and this is what the sticker sheet looks like. It's large-ish, but definitely not unprecedented. Again, I paid $120 US for this. It is 100 euros, 90 pounds UK, and $150 Canadian, which is a little bit less than $110 US as of the recording of this video here. And, you know, for the amount of stuff that's included, this feels like easily $100 plus in 2023. Easily. And thankfully, it's not just a big volume of stuff as viewed from the outside. When you look at the plane, all of it's usable. All the space on the inside is usable. That definitely adds a lot to the value. The side things let me down a little bit. Feel like they could have been set up. This here is the best amongst the side things. Like this is classic 4-wide goodness to the max. You know, it's absolutely optimized. This is fine. It's a cool idea and everything. The tug could have worked out better for me. I think it just could have been smaller, honestly. But the plane is the most important thing. And the plane, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is, if not the best plane that Lego has ever made, best passenger plane, it's at least the second best. To me, I'm going to say it's the best that they've made ever, because I specifically was not a child in 2006. I do not have that child-based nostalgia for the 2006 passenger airplanes. Probably if I was a kid during that time, it would be a little bit tougher for me. But just looking at it from the outside as an adult, comparing the different ones that they've done throughout the years, this one wins easily for me. It's nice and sturdy, makes maximal use of the space, and yet it's not too huge. It's not ridiculously oversized. I don't think it's the largest one that they've done. I think it's the most realistic that they've done, with the exception of the tail that I know just bothers so many people to such an incredible degree. So many people need to see that vertical stabilizer, need to see the horizontal stabilizers, the traditional 90-degree empennage on a plane. And that's cool and all, but what are you going to do once we start having more planes? Not the first planes. There are plenty of planes out there that do have V-tails, but what are we going to do when we start having more planes out there that have V-tails and that have unconventional main wing designs and orientations as well? I think that this is perfectly fine, and I applaud Lego trying to do something that's just a little bit different and not just always doing the exact same thing over and over again. The Lego designers are very much in a no-win situation always. If they do things exactly the same, people complain that they're lazy, they're out of ideas. If they do things different, people complain that they used to do them better. Why are they doing them terrible now? Because it's different, and different is bad. You know, I personally am happy with this, and honestly, I'm trying to look like, what is the big bad about this? And honestly, when it comes to design, the only big bad, no, there isn't a big bad. The worst thing about this is the material that the wings are made out of. They're just soft and clearly prone to bending up. I'm sure I'm guessing that I was unlucky, but it's not like this thing was sitting on shelves for a long time when I got it. I ordered it as soon as it became available, and the opening of the package was just a couple weeks after its release in the United States. So bad. They could have a problem here with the material, the choice of material. The design of the new wing piece definitely tries its best to help with the design team, with the set design team, to make things that are a lot more efficient in the future and then have more options for how they can be set up. But the material takes a lot away from it. Not that it makes it any worse of a toy. It just may have the issue that I've shown on this one. Overall, I'm happy with this. I think the value is okay for 2023. If you can find this at a discount, I wouldn't ask, honestly, for more than a 20% discount on this, even after, maybe let's say 6 months or so. I think that would be fantastic. You'd be able to get a really nice deal off of it. Then, something in the $100 range would be amazing in 2023. But as it is at $120, it's honestly not that bad. And there's a lot of good stuff here. So generally, this is positive, and I'm happy with it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that even if you disagree with some of my opinions, that at least I have shown you some things and given you some perspective that have helped you to come to your own conclusions. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.